Sunset Mid on 24
Okay,
hours.
Those,
yeah.
they don't need any.
That was a very famous pancake and waffle house, Johnny's.
Really?
Before it was ever a gas station.
Where the gas station
And
is?
I couldn't figure out how they could put a gas station in.
Yes, they want to build a big.
Oh, I know, I saw that. We were personal friends with people that
They
own
don't
it.
close that permit up? No, no.
You're curious to see how that
We'll,
plays
we'll
out.
turn them into the license. The license.
And then they got the game, they drive around, and then later on it became their turn again. You know? And he says, like,
No, it's not.
They had relay, you can relay at our groups.
That's a McMullen property,
Solo.
that gas
We're a lot of
station.
relay groups out there.
Yes.
Still
We did
is.
an 8-mile swim at PMS in September. We had, it was a
Right,
person relay, so we swam
Everybody's money, huh?
Do the same.
2 miles offshore.
We did that with
Very
Chicago.
good.
Nice relay.
Yeah, they really are changing them. Oh, wow, they cleared that.
Went to Nashville.
I guess
Right.
we're on, huh?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Where you get offered a job and then you get
They're very excited.
Today's meeting of the Municipal Code Enforcement Board is called to order on May 22nd, 2019. Welcome, everyone. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Agendas of today's meeting are on the wall at the entrance to the chambers. Please remember to turn off your cell phones. Did you remember to do that? I did. The Municipal Code Enforcement Board consists of 7 members who are appointed by the City Council, and we serve voluntarily. It is the board's intention to promote, protect, and improve the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Clearwater by providing this equitable, effective, and inexpensive method of enforcing certain codes within the city. The board considers new business items in 2 parts. First, a violation and then affirmative relief. Formal rules of evidence do not apply. Each side is limited to 15 minutes and the board may grant additional time. All proceedings will be conducted in a calm, civil manner, and individuals who conduct themselves otherwise will be asked to leave. If necessary, they will be escorted from the chambers. Now I ask all those who plan to speak, rise and be sworn by the clerk.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth throughout your entire testimony?
Our first order of business is to review and approve the minutes.
Move to approve.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes approved. Is there anyone here to speak to items that are not on the agenda? Okay. New business items. Let's start in the beginning. 4.3, continued from April 24th, case 6419. Fine respondents RNSS Investments LLC at 862 Bayway Boulevard in violation of code for unsafe building and issue an order with compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met. Is there anyone here to speak to that? Mr. Cantrell?
Which property did you say that was?
Hmm?
Which property did you say that was?
862 Bayway.
Okay, I just wanted to
862
make sure.
Bayway.
Jason, I think somebody's here.
Somebody is? Okay.
Okay. Please step forward and state your name and address for the record.
Sure. Name is Sean, S-E-A-N, last name's K-H-A-N-T. And Brian Barker's supposed to be here. I think he's on his way. So hopefully he'll be here shortly.
Do you admit or deny?
We're actually in,
Do we want to continue this one for a few minutes? Is it your, I'm sorry, your mother or your father?
yeah, it's,
Why don't we, that's
Okay,
the property,
we'll-
you don't own the property.
Yeah.
Okay, why don't we maybe call it back
in a few minutes to give his parents an opportunity to be here.
Well, it's actually Brian Barker representing us that's supposed to be here. He'll be here any second.
Brian's an engineer.
I'm sorry, Brian Ungst.
Oh, Brian.
Brian Ungst. Sorry, my fault. Brian
Brian
Ungst.
Oh, yeah.
Here he is.
Right.
There he is. Saved by the bell.
Find a place to park.
Brian Ungst on behalf of RNS Investments LLC. I did miss the presentation, but I'm very well aware of the issues.
There has been no
All right, so
presentation.
I'm sorry. I guess if you want to go ahead with the city presentation and then we'll respond, or do you want us to kind of present where we think the issue is at this point, Kevin?
You deny.
We're asking for a continuance until the August MCEB meeting, based.
Why don't you go ahead and present the reason for continuance before we.
Okay, that sounds good. So this is a small piece of property at 862 Bayway. The property is vacant. On the property is a part of a 10-foot easement, which is seen here. I'm not sure if the Elmo is up.
It's not on, Brian. Maybe there's a switch there. No.
I think Nicole's gonna save my bacon here. Thank you, Nicole.
It's not on. There.
All right, very good.
Well,
So
sort of.
this depicts the property, and this depicts an easement that encumbers the property that the city is in the benefit of the city. My client has been a very, very good partner for the city over the years. My client actually gave that easement to the city for free at absolutely no consideration when they were not obligated to do so. So I just wanted to put that out there. My client is not one of these frequent repeat offenders that hasn't been communicating or working proactively with the city. We have a really good working relationship with the city, and I think that the planning department would agree with that, and I don't think there's any evidence to the contrary. So the issue that we have is that my client has retained me as an architect and as a civil engineer to put in a flexible development application to the planning department to develop a 5-unit condo, which would be, consistent with Beach by Design and meet all the requirements of the Community Development Code. The issue that we have with that is that the city is currently working in the easement. So this is the site today. I was just there about an hour ago. The site is over here, and as you can see, this is about a 12-foot high fence that basically surrounds almost all of my client's property. So you can't even access the vast majority of my client's property based on the city doing the easement work. This is a picture. My client's property is actually behind this fence here. So the issue comes down to the dock. And the dock is certainly in disrepair. It's not being used by anyone. The issue is that my client is working with the planning department to determine how many docks or how many boat slips can go there as part of the development application. So when we had this conversation with Mr. Delk, I believe it was last month when this issue first came to my attention about the dock, I said, Mr. Delk, would it be possible if we did a temporary permit for a fence to secure the dock and continue the hearing until the May hearing? And the city agreed to that. So my client has installed a fence, which is connected to the city's fence, and this is my client's fence, which is securing the dock. Just so you can see the extent of the work that's going on, the site is an active construction site for the city. So here's another picture of the fence that my client has installed to secure the dock. And here's a final picture of the fence that my client has installed to secure the dock. So again, the question is probably going to be, well, why can't they just take down the dock or repair it? And the answer is, we are waiting for the city to be done with the improvements to the easement because we'd like to vacate a portion of the easement. It's a very small site. We'd like to see if there's any footage that can be vacated of the easement to allow us to use in our development application. And we're waiting on confirmation from the city staff as to what dock can go there. We don't have any objection to removing the dock, repairing it, replacing it, but we need to know what we can do. Can we do 5 slips? Can we do more than that? And we've met with Mr. Delk. My client's met with Ms. Clayton. I've met with Mr. Perry. So we're proactively working on that. I want to point out that the city, I think it's Kaylin Price, who's in charge of this, the city improvements on the easement. She's told me the project's ahead of schedule. But she's also said that the schedule calls for it to last until August, which is why we've asked for the continuance until August. If we get an agreement or some understanding from the planning department about what we can do with the dock now, we don't have any problem removing it or fixing it before August. But I think that my client has reached a reasonable resolution here. This dock is not able to be used. It's not an attractive nuisance. It's not an empty building that is inviting homeless or other kind of activity. No one's gonna, put a boat on this dock. I've got a client that is redeveloping 353 and 345 Coronado, and there are two docks that are not in disrepair, that are vacant, that had actually holdovers, had people that were trespassing their boats there. And I had to eject them. I've never had to do an ejectment action against a boat before, but I actually had to do it against two of them. So my point is, there are plenty of unoccupied docks that actually could be utilized by someone if they were looking to take advantage of a dock. This dock is not going to be used by anyone. I can represent to you that this tree, or this little bush here, is on the seawall. So if I were to try to get onto that dock, I would fall into the water. So I don't think that the dock is a danger to anyone in the public. The site is extremely secure from the city side. That fence, I think, is about 12 feet high. This fence is 8 feet high. So I don't think there's any compelling or pressing need. I don't think the city has any evidence that anyone has been using it or that kids have been jumping on it or doing anything with it that would cause any problems or concerns. So again, we'd ask for a continuance until August, not finding a violation today, but it continues until August so we can see what portion of the easement we can maybe use and get that dock issue resolved as we get our development application issues resolved.
So, Madam Chairman, I'm confused. If, and I believe you have, done all that you have said, and met with everybody, why are you here? I don't understand why they're here if there's been all this discussion going on with planning.
Maybe I'll answer that, and it's not the city staff's fault. So the planning department is separate and distinct from code enforcement. Code enforcement is doing their job. The dock, we're not denying that this dock needs to go. I mean, so we understand that. And I think what the staff is trying to do today is make sure that you guys are aware of this. When we agreed to put the fence up and we got the email from Mr. Delk, it was my impression that this was going to be considered compliance. But when I reread the email and looked at the city staff position, the city staff was very clear that they were just agreeing to continue it to May. So the city never said, we agree if you put the fence up that it's in compliance. And so I understand the city's position. They don't want this to drag on for months and months and months, and we don't want it to drag on for months and months and months either. But I think it's reasonable, given the August schedule for the easement work, and the fact that we secured the site, to say that we come back to you in August and see where we're at.
Do you have any objection to continuing it till August?
Well, here would be the city's position. I don't think that the violation that's here is that because that is an unsafe structure. So, just speaking with city staff, we would agree to waive any sort of fines. But if there's really no dispute that that's unsafe, what if we were to agree to an order requiring removal by date certain, and if not, the city can come on to remove it, because that's what we would ask for. And if you can't start to remove it till August, we would start there, and then however long, it's a reasonable amount of time.
Because our problem practically is we don't know yet from the planning department what we're allowed to do with the dock. And also, if my client, so we're waiting for some assurance from the planning department that says, yes, you can put 5 slips there, or you can put 1 slip there, or you can put 2 slips there. And my client is concerned that if it totally destroys that dock, that it would somehow waive or lose a right to have a dock there in the first place. So again, I'm not up here agreeing that that dock as it exists now secured is a danger to anyone. I don't think it is. I think it's secured. And I don't think anybody from the water is going to try to use it because obviously it's not functional. So I'm asking you to not find a violation today, reset us for August and see where we're at in August.
Brian, I have a question if I may. Have you approached the city with that question you just approached us, with how many slips?
I'll have to ask Mr. Kant.
And what did the city say?
We have, and I know that there's been some transition as well, and so they've been looking into it to see how many exact number of slips that were available then, because there was another project that got approved before we got ownership of it, and so it's a work in progress. We just haven't been able to, we haven't been able to attain from them anything in writing to let us know that if we were to demolish the dock, we're reassured to get that same number of slips.
And
that's the big issue.
they have also hired Terry Skapik, who is an expert on dock permitting. So it's not just me and, a civil engineer and architect. They've actually hired a dock permitting expert to handle that. So again, we're trying.
So, Madam Chair, here's the thing. I see the city's concern about, it's obvious the picture speaks for itself. Yet in the last few months, we have made exceptions for property purchases, closures, and condemned buildings and unsafe buildings to continue for months until the new owner could do it. So this, to me, is more of a controlled situation than on some of the stuff that we agreed to on these other structures. I think this is a reasonable request in lieu of what they've done.
You're saying till August?
Yes, sir.
Bring this case back on the docket in August?
Yes, sir.
Buzz?
Okay, can I say something, please?
Certainly.
Their fence contractor,
Identify yourself for the record.
Dana Root, Assistant Building Official, their fence contractor was able to access the site to put up the fence. Marine contractors can take a boat there and take down that dock. That's how they build them, that's how they put the piles in, they do it by the water. So I don't see the access as being the issue.
Okay.
What access, sir?
Access to the dock.
The
It could be, the access could be by water to get to the dock.
Right.
To take it out. So access from the street is not an issue, but their contractor was able to get to the site to put that fence up.
Right.
So the city wants the dock removed, period.
Correct.
Removed or replaced.
Yeah, they can repair
He
it.
wants to know how many can go in there. That's where we're at, right?
Well, and I'm Kevin Garrett, I'm with the building department, I'm the building official. The dock that's there now is well documented, and that didn't occur overnight. That's been deteriorating for a long, long time. It just happens that these have all come together at one time. But that doesn't make that dock any less safe, and it is accessible from the water, and it would need to be accessible from the water to be repaired or removed. The fact that they are determining what they can put in there as a new development should have no relevance on fixing or removing or replacing that dock. What they've got there is well documented, and somebody isn't going to say, oh, well, now your dock's gone, you can't have a dock anymore. I mean, that would be ridiculous.
And I think what Mr. Garriott's point is, and it's the point I was trying to make, is, that's not gonna change between now and
In
August.
August.
So if it's a violation of an unsafe structure now, which it is, it'll be a violation of an unsafe structure in August. So continuance doesn't really change that.
Okay, I understand the concern, but if you look at that dock that's there, with, if somebody was to place 2x4s horizontally on those areas and seal it so somebody could not have access from the water, it still doesn't make it a safe dock, but at least you've limited the access.
Yeah, if access is limited, then it becomes safe, because somebody can't get on there, they can't be horsing around. I mean, we all know there's boats with kids and other people out there all the time looking for stuff to do, fun things, interesting things, places to explore.
But can your client address that factor, make it safe so there's no access from the water?
Access from the water, I'm not a dock expert, so I don't know if Mr. Kant can answer that, and we certainly can try.
We can definitely try. I mean, honestly, it's, as soon as we know or have assurance that we can build the same number of slips, we have no issue tearing it down. I mean, we're going to replace it anyway, and so it's just that portion that we honestly are trying to identify.
We don't want to waive any kind of non-conforming use or anything. I understand that may not apply, but I just don't see any evidence from the city that this is actually being used by anyone or
I don't
posing an
think the
actual.
city has to prove that. I mean,
Right.
the condition there states what it is. What if they were just to remove the dock, the deck, and now there's no place for anybody to go? Then you couldn't have
Yeah,
anybody on it.
There's numerous ways that it could be addressed.
The safety
You know,
aspect, that's what
classic
needs to be
on
addressed.
itself.
We can, again, our request is for the continuance, and we would represent to you that we would work with the city to do additional efforts to secure it and remove access issues between now and August. And hopefully remove the whole thing once we hear from the planning department. I personally just think it's a reasonable request, so.
I think it's pretty reasonable myself as well. I think them showing that they're trying to do everything they can to this point, they've communicated to the city on every level, imaginative and positive, and they're not getting the answers that they need to move forward. And for security, knowing that your property can be as is or more and not less than what you currently have, I think it's a reasonable request from where I'm at. And
I do too, as long as you know that they're serious about that being unsafe.
Absolutely, yes.
They want it gone.
Yes, sir.
So do we. It's
Yeah.
just a matter of,
As a condition to the continuance, maybe we could specify some of the things that Mr. Ong said that he will do, and that we could put that in a continuance order that has to be done between now and August.
I don't have any objection to that.
And what would those things be?
We'll continue to work, we are representing to you, and we're agreeing that we will continue to work with the staff to find additional ways to secure the dock and/or limit access to it,
From the water.
and, on top of the fence.
From the water.
Yeah. From the water, sure.
The only other issue is, let's assume that the city tells you that you can, in writing, put 5, 3, 2, in a period of time before August. Will you all agree that if you get that in writing, that you'll remove it?
yes, we already have quotes and estimates.
All right, then-
We are both working on together, like, everyone's ready to go, it's just a matter of.
Okay, I mean, that in essence reaches what you're talking about doing, so we can add that in the order too. So if they get that assurance, they'll remove it, and then you won't even have to hear it.
Have a motion for a continuance?
I'll make a motion. I make a motion that we continue this case, 64-19, to the docket on August. I'm not sure what day that is, but.
We'll put that in the order.
And also that, in this motion, that the owner stays in touch with the city as far as securing access and the things that we had talked about.
And that, including what I just mentioned, which is.
And including, that was a letter from the city answering your question about how many docks can go in there.
They'll remove it.
That will remove it, right.
Yeah,
Right,
we'll put that all in the order.
okay?
Okay, yes, sir.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you all very much.
Sean, good luck.
Okay,
Sorry I was late.
that's all right. Okay.
They won't come back.
Okay, case number 7119. Find respondents Magigan Michael J. Jr. Estate at 1592 Tioga Avenue in violation of Code of Exterior Services and Exterior Storage, and issue an order with compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met. Are they here? Have you been sworn in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not here.
You can come out to the podium. If you'll raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth throughout your entire testimony?
I do.
And identify yourself.
My name is Patrick Madigan. I'm the brother of Michael Madigan, who passed away 4/01/2017. And he was the named owner on the house. I just haven't been able, I don't have the money to transfer it into my own name as of yet. I'm disabled, I can't work. As regards to the structure, it's been painted It looks really good. As far as the debris in the yard, that's been all taken care of. It was scrap I didn't know that you couldn't scrap in the city. I was unaware of it, but it's all been removed.
Mr. Matt, so do you admit or deny the allegations that the city is making about the surfaces, exterior surfaces, and storage?
Correct.
You admit that that's a problem?
It's been all fixed.
No longer a problem.
Okay. No longer a problem. Would you have a seat then, and I'll call you back? Okay.
I'll make a motion.
Wait a minute. We haven't heard your
Haven't heard from the
case.
city yet.
Yeah, you're from City Point. Well, he admitted that there had been a problem, and
I
he
was
said
gonna
it was
make a-
corrected prior, so that's an admission that there was a violation. So you could do the first motion. The question is whether or not the inspector believes that it's been resolved or not. So you could still go forward with your first motion.
It's not a declaration, is it?
No.
First
I
motion.
move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Fletcher.
My name is Vicki Fletcher. I'm a code inspector with the city of Clearwater. This is for case 7119 at 1592 Tioga Avenue. There are two violations here. One, section 3-1502B for exterior surfaces, and section 3-1502G2 for exterior storage. The notice of violation was sent on February 5th of 2019 with a compliance date of March 5th, 2019, and the certified mail receipt was received on February 14th of 2019. I actually took this photograph back in December when I spoke to them the first time to let them know that this could not happen there. This is the,
Is this property occupied?
they live there, but they don't own it, I guess.
It's occupied, that's.
Yes, well, this gentleman here is the only one that I know that lives there. This was the scrapping that was being done on the north side of the house. This was the picture of the back of the house. Again, this is in, now these pictures are in January. This is a picture of the front of the house. You can see the peeling paint. The exterior is just falling apart on the south side. That's the south side of the house. There's a lot of storage outside at all times. This is in March. They covered everything up with a tarp. This was this is a picture of the posting for today's hearing. These were taken on May 8th. You can still see the outdoor storage, not near as much as there was, but there's still a lot of storage outside. This was the front of the house on May 8th, the side of the house. And then some bouncy house items all of a sudden appeared in the front yard. These were taken yesterday. Or I'm sorry, yeah, those were taken yesterday. I do have pictures from today and it's still in violation.
Okay. So do you feel that this property is now in compliance with the code?
Well, I'll just skip to today's pictures. They did paint the house, but the block is still broken. They took a piece of plywood and just covered up on the south side of the house. And this is the backyard, the side of the house and the backyard today, and then all the bunchy things out front of the house today at 7:20. So
So it appears there's still work to be done.
the only thing they've done is paint the house and removed some of the scrap out of the backyard.
Okay.
Call them up.
Mr. Madigan? So you can see that there's still issues there, right?
Yes.
Can we explain? There.
And, excuse me, who are you?
I am Mandy Adele Mertz Yeagle,
Could you spell your last name, please?
MERTZ Yeagle, YAGLE. We have been helping Patrick since his brother passed away. A lot of that stuff was stuff that we had taken out of the house. There is a check that a car was running from the police, and hit the side of the house. Michael was in the hospital and was on his way out, so he wasn't able to sign for it. Now we are trying to help Patrick get the money to put the house in his name so he can get the check from the insurance company to get that part of the house fixed.
The check has been written by Geico, and since I'm not the owner and my brother passed away, I have to get the house titled in my name before they can release it to me. And I plan to use that money to repair the wall.
We're working on.
Okay, let me ask you this question, sir. What are your prospects for getting that money so that you can have the title changed?
Actually, I could probably answer that. It's probably gonna be zero, because how are you gonna put it in, how are you going to put title in your name? You can open a Michael was your brother?
Yes.
Okay. Are you gonna open a probate for your brother?
We don't really know how this works. I've been trying to Google and find out. I've contacted down to the clerk's office. There is no other living relative. He's the only one left. So, and it's always been a Madigan home. It went from their father, and when their father got sick, it went to the oldest brother, and he passed away, and now there's Patrick. We are willing to help him with the money part, you know.
When did Michael pass away?
4/1/2017 in the care of hospice.
April
What year?
of 2017.
April
2017.
Okay. About two years ago?
No.
And no probate has been opened?
No.
So
I have a real estate agent looking into getting the Geico check released into my name. But I don't know if I have to get the title of the house in my name or what I have to do.
And I would defer any legal advice to the board, to your attorney, but I would argue the only way, and I know how to do this, I used to do this, is the only way to ever get title into Patrick's name, Patrick's name, is open up a probate. And then the court will issue an order and the title will transfer. I won't explain to them how they do it, not because I'm trying to be mean, but because I'm not their lawyer.
Right.
I would recommend that they speak with a probate attorney who knows how to do that stuff. It's an unfortunate situation, but 2 years have passed since the death and no probate has been opened, and the property is in pretty bad disrepair. So, well, I'll let Vicki enter, or Inspector Fletcher enter her compliance date, but that would be the only thing that Patrick would be able to do, to get title into his name to get the money. So, we have to take that into account, but that's the only way I think that they'll be able to.
I agree with Michael. I think that's the only thing you can do in this situation. Without having an attorney there, we don't know what the time period will be on that. The problem is obviously that if it's not, depending on what the board decides to do, you're going to have a running fine on that property.
Right.
And
There's another problem, though. Since he's not the owner, he has his standing here is a little questionable, right? I mean,
well, you can't, let's put it like this.
Well, we
That's what I was
recognize it,
referencing. Your decision will not affect him directly at this point.
Yeah.
It affects the property and the estate.
Can I ask you a question? In the last 2 years, and I'm sorry to hear about your brother passing, why have you attempted, has it been for financial reasons, to go to an attorney to open up probate?
Well, one, after his brother passed away, his wife was still alive. She just passed away 7 months ago.
Okay.
Yes.
And so, and them two have been in and out of the hospital, and he's had a stroke. Well, we came to check up on them after the hurricane last year, and we noticed everything. And we came in, we gutted the house. It was a wreck, and we've you know, I've been doing everything, but
And his wife was sick as well. And
yeah, and
Yes.
she just passed
that's all
away.
I need to know.
Okay, I have a question for Mr. Saltzman.
Yes.
Sir, because this is your business and that, does an organization like the Legal Society have a helpful
There
arm?
is, right, there is some legal, I mean, either through the Clearwater Bar can give information. You can contact the Clearwater Bar and they'll get you into the proper legal service that will help out.
Legally.
You need to get,
But that would go through the Clearwater Bar to get there.
So who would?
We could get, let me see if I can get you that number right now.
Clearwater
Yeah,
Bar.
and they'll put you in touch with legal aid, they're located on Missouri.
I think I'm going
They'll
to.
put you in touch.
yeah, Madam Chairman,
Bar Association.
I don't see how, if he had 180 days, that this thing's gonna get resolved. Because it needs to go through all the legal ramifications and finally get put in his name, and then insurance companies aren't fast to pay on anything.
Let's hear
This is a difficult thing.
I think we need to hear from
the city.
the city to find out what needs to be done to become compliant.
Yes.
We're saying exterior surface, but we're saying it's been painted. We're saying exterior storage, but we're saying the majority of it has already been cleaned. So I think we're just talking about the broken pieces of block on the corner of the
Yes.
building.
Right, and
So let's find out what the city's statement is on how that can be repaired. You're not building an entire new house.
Right.
Maybe it's something that's affordable or
Right.
feasible to move forward.
right, and if there is a way we can do it, we're willing to do it. But we just didn't want to go start messing with something and then be like, you're not allowed to do that without a permit or something. So, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, if you'll have a seat
You're right.
again, we'd like to hear from the city and recommendations. Jesus.
Recommendation for case 71-19 for the 2 violations for the exterior surface. We were just discussing that. Just to give them time to be able to open the probate, we're going to change it from 6/22 to 8/22 for their compliance date. Or that will be a fine of $150 a day. And then for the exterior storage, we're gonna give them until June 22nd. That is gonna stand for that because all they gotta do is clean that mess up.
Did you all understand what she said, what the recommendation is?
So that's
I
potentially.
don't think it's gonna happen by 8/22. The junk, the belongings, the outside storage, that, yes, has to be corrected right away. Okay, well, but she has to tell us that, not you,
The
okay.
only thing we have
I
left,
just need you to come up to the podium. Thank you.
only thing we have left out there is bounce houses. They're rolled all up, but my husband, he works for a guy, he repairs them and they rent them out. We do have 3 of them on our driveway. I can have them removed today. The table and the lawnmower, I can put back in the garage.
Okay, so what you need to do, ma'am, is have
All this is.
the inspector tell you that you are in compliance.
Those things right there, no, but I don't wanna put out to the road until Thursday, because if it's out there more than 24 hours in advance, the city says you can't have trash out there.
Okay,
So
so,
that's why I was waiting till Thursday evening to put it out for Friday's garbage.
okay. Ma'am, she has to tell you that you're in compliance. Okay, and you just telling us what you're gonna do, that's great, but you need to demonstrate that to the inspector. Regarding the other thing, I think more time is needed, or I don't know how good you're on this, continue that aspect of the case till August, and then see where we are, just like what we did with the dock. Just grant a continuance on that portion, but the other thing has to become in compliance. And I can tell you, if the other stuff doesn't come in compliance, you're not gonna find that much sympathy regarding the other issue. That's my thought.
And like, the wall part, are we allowed to like stucco the pieces in that are?
I'm not a contractor to tell you, but there's a lot of concrete block that's missing there and the
Right.
whole side of the house is now cracking.
Yes.
On the wall, what you really need to do is have a professional, like a contractor or architect or an engineer, take a look at that and see how far the damage has gone inside, and see if there needs to be some rebar or something put back in there.
Right.
You can't just stucco over that. That would not be
Well,
a structural.
Geico had somebody come out and they did everything, but because Michael Madigan has passed away, you know,
We on
he
case two.
just gave me the information so I can help Patrick get the house over in his name, or at least get the check, and then have the contractors out there.
So you have the report from the insurance company as to what is wrong or what needs to be done there?
I'm not 100% sure, but I know that Michael's wife, Teresa, she did have something. I do have to go back and look through and see what exactly there is.
That's where you should start with that and see what that says. And then if you have questions, come into our office at 100 South Myrtle in the building department, and we can help answer questions that you don't know yourself.
100 South Myrtle?
Right.
I thought that place was closed down.
Yeah. That's where you pay your water.
An hour ago, I don't know.
Okay, I don't know, we went to like 3 different places.
It's not in
today.
compliance.
It's not in compliance.
It's not in compliance, but we're working on it.
Okay, so, all right.
Good one.
I do have a question. Who is this lady and gentleman?
Huh?
Who are you?
I am Mandy Adele Mertiego.
And you are here for what reason? What caused you to come?
I take care of Patrick.
So you're a friend?
Yes.
You're friends and you're helping him out?
Yes.
Do you reside at this location also? Yes.
Temporarily, yes.
Temporarily, okay.
Here and there, but we're trying to get, he's been in and out of the hospital and really can't be by himself.
You're a good friend.
Can I have a motion?
I'm ready to make a second motion, and I'm going by the city's recommendation, what they said. This is for case 7-1-19. I move to enter an order requiring the respondent to correct the violations. First violation is storage, to be corrected by June 22nd, 2019. The second violation, exterior surfaces, to be within compliance August 22nd, 2019. That's what you said, right?
August, yeah.
Yeah, August 22nd, 2019. If the respondent does not comply by those dates, the board may enter a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day each violation continues to exist. If the fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, just keep in touch with your inspector.
And get in touch with Gulf Coast Legal Aid Society.
I gave her that number.
Oh, good.
Good luck to you.
Good luck.
Very much.
Good luck, man.
Good luck, Patrick. Good luck.
Thanks, Vicki.
Case 7219, fine respondents KEL Properties LLC at 334 Elizabeth Avenue in violation of code for residential rental BTR, and issue an order with compliance deadline and if compliance is not met, and fine if compliance is not met. Mr. Knight, are they here?
I do not believe so.
Okay. I move to find a respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit.
Declaration.
This is a declaration.
Oh, it is? Okay. There we go.
Have come into compliance.
Declaration.
I move to find respondent was in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case. The violation was corrected prior to today's hearing, and to enter an order that no fine be imposed. If the respondent repeats the violation, the board may order a fine of up to $500 for each day the violation continues to exist.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
That's fast.
Okay, next case. Case 74-19, find respondents Patrick and Nicole Zabrowski at 1764 Thames Street in violation of code of fences and walls, and issue an order with the compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met. Are they here?
This is a declaration as well.
Okay. Good.
I move to find the respondent was in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit. In this case, the violation was corrected prior to today's hearing, and to enter an order that no fine be imposed. If the respondent repeats the violation, the board may order a fine of up to $500 for each day the violation continues to exist.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Case 7519. Find respondents Anthony Dorner at 511 Orangeview Avenue in violation of code for exterior surfaces and fences and walls, and issue an order with compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met. Are they here? Is this a declaration? Okay. Just thought I'd ask.
I move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
On to the recommendations. Good afternoon, Board. Inspector Jewett, City of Clearwater Code Compliance, for case 75-19 for the 2 violations for exterior surfaces and fence maintenance. We're asking for compliance on or before the 24th of June, or a fine of $150 per day per
I
violation.
assume that's 2019.
Yes,
You're good.
then go back in time and do that.
We'll go back in
Space
time.
traveler.
Yes.
How much do they owe?
Inspector, was it $150 per day? Was that your-
$150, yes. And for the home, we're just looking for cleaning of the mold and mildew, as you can see on the photos here. There's some chipped and peeling paint as well to paint the structure. And for the fence is to repair, replace, but the best option would be to remove. He's got a chain link fence all the way around the house, but he has on the interior of that fence line, he has this wooden fence that is falling almost all the way around the property, so.
How was this brought to your attention?
From a complaint from a neighbor.
Okay.
Have you spoken to them?
I have spoken to him several times, and he is not very responsive.
Okay, can I have a
Pretty
motion?
upset every time I talk to him, so.
Second motion, I move to enter an order requiring the respondent to correct the violations on or before June 24th, 2019. If the respondent does not comply by that date, the board may order a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day each violation continues to exist. If fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, 7819, find respondents Renee and Darlene Nayray at 504 Nicholson Street in violation of code for exterior services, abandoned building, and lot clearing, and issue an order of compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met. Are they here, Mr. Kixon? Okay.
There are 3 violations. I am requesting a declaration violation for the lot clearing, but not the others.
Lot clearing is a declaration.
Yes. You're making a
Go ahead.
I'll go ahead and do the declaration on the lot clearing.
Okay.
Okay. I move to find the respondent was in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case regarding the lot cleaning. The violation was corrected prior to today's hearing, and to enter an order that no fine be imposed. If the respondent repeats the violation, the board may order a fine of up to $500 for each day the violation continues to exist.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You want to do a first motion on the other?
First motion on that same case.
Yeah.
I move to find a respondent in violation of the code. Excuse me. I move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
Second.
Regarding
Step 1 and 2.
Code exterior and abandoned building.
Right.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Go ahead.
For the exterior surfaces and abandoned building, request compliance on or before June the 19th, 2019, or a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day the violations continue to exist. After 3 months from the recordation date of such lien, if the fines and fees remain unpaid, the city's attorney's office is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien using any legal or equitable remedies available under the law. Compliance can be met for exterior surfaces by replacing all damaged structural and decorative elements and addressing any failing or peeling paint. Compliance for the abandoned building by having the property sold, demolished, or have all code violations addressed, have utilities turned on, and have the dwelling occupied. Here's some photos from January. There's some deteriorated wood. The homeless are around it since it's vacant. But he has painted the home, but he didn't replace any of the rotten wood that's around the bottom. And I've been monitoring it, and the homeless activity has died down.
So what, you've gotten some cooperation out of them?
Mm-hmm. I think he'll probably get it done by June, but if not.
Okay. So do we need a second?
Where's Nicholson Street?
Yeah, what do you need for that?
Fort Harrison, kind of across from the that school over there.
Okay, that area.
Second, just the two. I move to enter an order requiring the respondent to correct the violations of exterior surfaces in abandoned buildings on or before June 19th of 2019. If the respondent does not comply with that date, the board may order a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day each violation continues to exist. If the fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Next. Case 8019, fine respondents Chad Peterson at 1944 Byram Drive in violation of the code for short-term rental and issue an order with compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met. Are they here?
They are not, and this would be a declaration. They are now in compliance.
Okay.
I move the fine respondent was in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case. The violation was corrected prior to today's hearing, and to enter an order that no fine be imposed. If the respondent repeats the violation, the board may order a fine of up to $500 for each day the violation continues to exist.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Let's see. Case 8119, fine respondents Green Rose LLC at 106 Midway Island in violation of code for short-term rental and issue an order with compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met. Are they here?
This is a declaration. The owner is here, but this is also a declaration.
Okay.
I move the fine respondent was in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case. The violation was corrected prior to today's hearing, and to enter an order that no fine be imposed. If the respondent repeats the violation, the board may order a fine of up to $500 for each day the violation continues to exist.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Case 8219, fine respondents Joseph and Cecilia Muller at 1422 Jasmine Way in violation of code for RV parking, residential grass parking, and landscaping, and issue an order with compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met. Are they here?
Madam
Aye.
Chairman, I think they need to be sworn in.
Were you all sworn in?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, they were?
Please state your name and address for the record.
Joseph T. Muller, Jr., 1422 Jasmine Way.
Cecilia E. Muller, 1422 Jasmine Way.
Do you admit or deny the allegations?
I don't understand one of the allegations, but I admit to the other two.
Okay. Let's see.
Which one don't you understand so we can have that one explained?
Hey, pardon?
Which one don't you understand?
The, the residential grass parking, about the one designated parking space
Okay,
on the driveway and one on the grass.
okay. Got it? Yeah,
Why don't we present and then?
Okay,
yeah. that'll be-
okay, if you'll have a seat,
Okay.
we'll have the cities present what they have.
Okay.
Okay, I'll call you right back.
Thank you.
Need it first?
You can have the front row. Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Yusuf Touré, Code Compliance for City of Clearwater. Case number 8219 for 1422 Jasmine Way. At this location, there are 3 violations. Code Section 3-1407A2 and D, and 3-903D. No vehicle shall be parked between the principal structure and the right-of-way up to a maximum of 2 frontages. Second violation, Code Section 3-1502H2, landscaping required, and Code Section 3-1407A5 and 7, residential grass parking. The notice of violation was sent out on March 21st, 2019. The compliance date was for April 22nd, 2019, and the certified mail receipt was received March 27, 2019. Here's a picture taken March 28, 2019, showing the front of the house. The second picture showing the address of the house, showing the area that needs to have grass. Here's another picture taken March 28, 2019, showing that the property has 2 frontages. And this is the north end of the property, showing the area that is stripped of grass. And also, as you can see, there is a RV that's parked in the back of the yard illegally. It hasn't met the setbacks, and it is parked between the principal structure and the right-of-way. This is a shot of the southern end of the property. This is where the RV could have been parked if there was enough room, but as you can tell, there's not enough room and it will never meet the setbacks. This is another shot taken March 28, 2019, showing an area of the land in front of the house that needs grass. This is a shot showing the location of the property, showing the RV and patches of the front yard that needs soil. There's another picture depicting the same thing, location. And the neighbors have been calling, complaining about multiple vehicles in the backyard, but I couldn't see it. So I did acquire an aerial view from engineering department. This shot was taken on September 14, 2017, depicting the RV and a red car. And a later picture was taken March 15, 2018, still showing the RV and the red car.
Is there any grass in the backyard?
I cannot tell.
So there's 3 violations?
3 violations.
One is landscaping,
Landscaping,
parking on grass.
parking on grass.
Tell me about the first one.
The first one was the
The RV.
RV.
RV, and what about the RV? Why is it ill?
The RV is parked between the principal structure and the right-of-way. Since he has a double frontage, he can't park on that side. That's the northern end of the property. If he had room on the southern end, he could have parked it there. But it being a double frontage property, he can't have the RV.
So he's parked between his house and the right-of-way?
Right-of-way,
Gotcha,
exactly.
right. And it looks like there's a fence there.
Yes, there's a fence. He built the fence.
Yusuf, you want to put that picture back on?
Yes, sure.
So you can't park an RV or anything between a structure and a right-of-way?
Okay, that picture right here, like he's parked, if we had the RV, like towards the southern end of the property, as long as he doesn't pass the building, the structure itself. He can have it either on the side, on the southern end, or at the back of the house, but not between the principal structure and the right of way.
No, I see that, right.
So, I have a question. Where that long red fence is, let's just say that was his property line and 10 feet away was another house.
Could you repeat it, please?
Okay, if you look at the long red fence.
Right.
Instead of there being in the street, let's say there was another house.
Yes.
Another property. Would his vehicle then be in compliance with regards to the
It
setback?
would have been in compliance long
It
as.
would have. His problem is the fact that he has a corner lot.
Exactly.
Okay. So here we sit, okay, and you see the pictures of the house compared to some of the pictures we normally see of the house. And this is a catch-22 type of situation, which is, I feel, for me, uncomfortable. If the place was not well-maintained as it is and all that. Now, there are other violations. The question is, if you look at the aerial view that you showed across the street, that house had no grass. Now, maybe it does because you can see the picture here. But either he doesn't have grass or he does. If he got rid of the grass, would he then be in compliance with just having dirt?
If he can't have dirt, he has to have a cover. He has to have
As the
grass.
cover, so he would have to have all grass. So
has to have grass.
where there's barrenness, it needs to be filled in with grass. Okay,
The
fine.
code specifically says organic ground cover, right?
Organic?
It doesn't say grass, right? It says organic ground cover. Or do you specifically have to have grass?
Living.
Living, okay.
Yusuf, help me understand, because I think you said that if the RV wasn't on that frontage side, it could be on the opposite side or the back of the house. So if he was to back his RV directly behind his house, he would then be legal if it was on an approved city surface?
Yes, approved city survey, which might require permit.
Gotcha. And is there a certain clearance that he has to be backed far enough? The nose of the RV has to be behind the house, or it can't extend X amount of feet? Do we have an understanding of what that is?
There's a setback, but he has to go to zoning.
Gotcha.
I can't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Thank you.
That's what
Okay.
the permits are for.
Yes.
In it, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So hopefully that discussion has helped the people
Shall I call him back
what the
up?
problem is.
Mr. Mueller, Mrs. Mueller, would you step back up? Do you understand all the issues now?
Yeah, I understand.
Except for the issue about the one I said, with the residential grass parking, meaning I'm allowed to park one car on the driveway, or more than one car, I guess, it'll fit more than one. And one car can be parked in the grass adjacent to the driveway.
Correct.
And they're saying that I'm in violation, but I don't.
Like there's three
but I don't-
cars.
I don't have 3 cars out there, I only have 2. I have one in the driveway, one in the grass adjacent to the driveway.
Maybe.
Which is, yeah, maybe, most of the time.
Most of the time, it's not there.
It's not there. So I only have a car in the driveway. I don't have a second car or a third car on the grass adjacent to the driveway. And I'm being cited for having,
3 vehicles.
I guess I'm interpreting it to be that I'm being cited because I
The
have a
RV.
third vehicle
You're being
adjacent to.
cited for residential grass parking, and you're saying you're not.
No,
No,
You only have one car.
we have one, and it's in the driveway.
yeah.
Right.
And if we had a second car, we have somebody that visits, they park alongside the car or behind the car.
Or on the grass.
Or on the grass. But we're not, I don't understand if I'm.
There was one picture in the slide, if I remember, and it might have been the inspector's car, but there was one car parked on the frontage side along the red fence. It was an SUV that I noticed. I don't know if that was the inspector's car or somebody
That's my
visiting
car.
your house.
We have a white SUV.
Yeah.
No, it
What
looked
about the
like a
red car in the
brownish
backyard?
color.
The red car is a older car, it's tagged, it runs, it does everything, it
Is it
just
still
take
there?
pictures when it's in the yard, but most of the time we don't have it out because we only use one car, most of the time.
Still there?
It's still there.
That might be what he's talking about.
Are you parking that in the garage, that red car?
I can't get it in the garage. I wish I could.
Florida basement, huh?
Got too much stuff in there.
Too much stuff in the garage.
Is that car parked in your backyard of your home?
Yeah, right now, yeah.
And it's on grass,
Yes,
so that's your one car on grass.
yes.
So you can't have another car.
Even if it's
Well, that car has to be adjacent to the
to the
driveway.
driveway,
not
yes,
the
I
backyard.
understand that, and that's
Yeah,
what I'm being cited for, is
That's what he's
adjacent
being
to the
cited.
driveway, and I don't have anything.
It's the red car is the problem.
Red car is the problem, but
That's the
that's I don't know if it falls on the same category or not, you have to tell me.
Yeah, that's what we're trying
I
to
think
say.
it doesn't.
That car has to be parked out front next to the driveway.
Okay, well then,
Okay.
easy peasy, I can
And
do
you
that.
can do that,
Oh, yeah,
but not in the backyard.
okay,
Okay.
that's fine.
Okay.
It may be helpful to have the city present what the correction methods
Needs to
are,
be.
and then you all can understand what you need to do.
Yeah, because I don't
Yeah.
understand some of the things I'm supposed to be doing to make it
Okay.
so that I'm in compliance.
Okay.
I'll comply, you just have to tell me what
That's
I
what
need
we're
to
here
do.
for, is to help you.
Yeah,
If you'll have another seat, we'll have the city tell you what you need to do.
That'll-
somebody's always telling me.
No, she told us to hold off and let the city.
Board, I just wanted to make some clarification. I did this inspection with Yusuf Toure when we went out, and Mr. Mueller has come into the office, and I spoke to him in full detail for at least 40 minutes of what we needed to do. So just to explain, I did want to address your issue. When you do have a double frontage lot, it is a code, so technically it shouldn't be an opinion. If you can't have a car there, you can't have a car there, and that's the way the code's written. When it was for the residential grass parking, there is two. You have a RV that's parked on the grass, you cannot have vehicles parked on the grass. One parallel and adjacent to the driveway, which means they can bring the red vehicle from the backyard to the front yard, but you can't just park a vehicle in your backyard. There's a certain criteria of what you park in the backyard. If the RV wants to continue to be in the backyard, as it was stated twice, Mr. Mueller knows he needs to come down to zoning. You have to get a permit for ribbons. He has to meet the setbacks from the side and the back if he can do that. There are two neighbors here. One who would like to speak to the RV, it backs right up to her house where it is currently, and it does not meet those setback criteria. So I just wanted to be very precise in making you understand what's wrong.
Thank you.
Why don't you give your recommendation, if that's okay with the board?
If the recommendation, corrective action,
Just for the record, we have not done a first motion.
right. I think this is going to be a complete presentation, so the board has a complete understanding of what the violations are and what the corrective action is.
Okay.
Okay. Recommendation for case 82-19, for residential parking, landscaping required, residential parking on a double frontage lot. Requesting compliance on or before June 22nd, 2019, or a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day the violation continues to exist, potentially $450 per day. We are asking the board to authorize the following. After 3 months from the recordation date of such lien, if the fines and fees remain unpaid, the city attorney's office is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien using any legal or equitable remedies available under the law. Compliance can be met for residential parking on a double frontage lot by removing the RV and any other vehicle stored on the north side of the property. Compliance can be met for landscaping required by installing grass or other appropriate ground cover and maintaining it in a neat and orderly manner. Compliance can be met for grass parking by parking one legal vehicle parallel and adjacent to the driveway only, and by parking any legal vehicle in the backyard on a permitted and approved surface except where the double frontage site exists. Permits may be required. This is just pictures showing the area that needs to have grass.
Okay. Shall we go on back
Right,
up?
do you want to have the neighbor speak to you?
Yeah, they came.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can, really.
They came here, we should hear them.
Yeah, we should hear the neighbor.
Okay.
Welcome. Did you get sworn in?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Please state your name and address for the...
Marcel O'Connor, 1426 Jasmine Court.
Okay.
This is where they have moved the RV as of, what, Saturday?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how this goes in.
Go
I don't know how to
go
use
ahead and put it,
Put it down, then we'll find out.
yeah,
There you go.
and we'll get it from here. There we go.
That's where they moved the RV to. That is my backyard I'm taking a picture from.
Looks like Key West or something.
Pardon me?
Looks like Key West.
Route for the beach.
Yeah, we like Key West, so.
So when you look out your back window, you see...
No, that's when I'm standing or in my pool. That's
your-
what I see.
Okay, from outside, okay.
That's from outside, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the north side. Just to be clear, is that still the north side of the property where he parked it?
They parked it on the west side of their house. That is on the east side of my house.
So that's the back of their
That's the
property.
back of
So they
their-
turned it like we were just asking and
Yes,
discussing.
yes.
That turns at 90 degrees then.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, I have one other thing. Thank you, Rachel. This was installed and we were told that it was legal by him to have that, this camera, and this is what he looks at. And we find that very invasive. They're invading our privacy. They can see everything that he does and that I do. That it just doesn't seem legal for him to be watching us 24/7, which we know he does.
Have you spoken to him about this?
Oh, no, I don't speak to him. He's,
Unfortunately, there is no speaking to them.
no.
Have you contacted anyone else in the city to see if that?
Yes, Yusuf has told us that that's illegal and that there was nothing we could do about it, but I think some codes or whatever need to be changed because
On the height requirement?
there's no, if the camera was turned and maybe, this was what they were concerned about, right here. And they say that that's all that the camera is looking at. Well, I'm standing on the ground, holding my phone like this. That camera is way up there. So they got a good shot of everything that we do. And it's not right for that to be allowed at all. So that's my case. I never really cared about the RV. It was there for years, didn't bother us. But then when other stuff started happening, mainly on his side, that's when this all came down. So that's Rachel, this is Rachel's home.
We own we live at 1428 Jasmine Court, which is across
I'm over
on
here.
on the White House on the corner.
And my husband's father had our house built 47 years ago, and now we own it for a long time.
And you put that picture back, because I was on the impression the White House was yours.
No, this house here is Rachel's.
That's ours, yeah, that's mine.
My house is over here.
What's your last name?
Pagano, Pagano. You're welcome.
You are a neighbor?
I am a neighbor.
She lives right here.
I
And
live there.
everything that her son and husband, this is just, Joe comes out or calls the police.
So
And I'm over here where the RV is parked,
Well, we can't address the
that red
camera.
fence goes
The
there.
camera, is the camera on these people's property?
Right
the
there.
woman's Property?
Yes.
On their property?
Yes. Yeah, the camera is on their,
So the camera can't really see your house, but you can just see your
can't see
neighbor.
no, it can see my driveway and,
Yeah, but not your house.
not my house, but her house.
My
This
house.
is her house.
So,
It's almost lucky it's not pointed towards your house, because he'd be seeing everything in your pool, so you are getting a little
No,
more.
not my house, it's not on my house, it's on my driveway, and this is her house. And everything that her husband and her son do right here,
Yeah, and our bedroom window's right there.
the police are called. And this is
You can have drones now.
their house, this is their house.
Okay, yeah, okay, all right.
Just a point that we wanted to make
Thank you.
along with everything else.
Thank you for coming in.
I
Thank
just
you.
have one question. So is it legally with the codes that he can park one car behind the fence?
I'm sorry,
Yeah, we're back at the parking of the cars.
No.
No, they've been instructed to do differently.
Because they park two cars back there.
The white car is parked back there every night. So
So
if
can they
it's
have one car
overnight,
parked
can
there or
they-
just no cars?
None.
None, okay. I just
The only way
wanted to
they could have
clarify
that RV parked there is if they turned it and then had the proper permit and enough easement, like the
And it
city
has to
said.
be, well,
And
you
it's
can
gotta be
see-
on approved service because
And
it's
on
not right
approved
now.
surface.
Okay, okay.
and
no
it's-
cars can be back there.
No cars can be back there, okay. So
Okay.
then they have to move the white car back outside.
And just so you know, we had no problems at all with them until Mr. Miller's started all the problems. So,
Ma'am, I would ask that those pictures be entered into the evidence.
absolutely.
We have copies. And just to be clear for the record, did you take those pictures yourself?
Yes.
Are they true and accurate copies of the pictures that you took?
Yeah, you can have these.
Could you repeat what you said about Mr. Mueller?
Mueller started.
There was no problem until,
We were friends for 3 years. And they've been there for 4 years. And this last year, he just got really mad at her 16-year-old son at the time. And he's just started getting vindictive. I'm sorry, that's the word. And then calling the cops and killing the grass and
And threatening my son and trying to run him over. So yeah, it's been unfortunate.
There's,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, no, don't, there's no denying it.
Ma'am, we're here about the codes.
Right, that's fine,
Okay,
yeah.
well, I just wanted to let you know how it all started, because they've been there
well, we've heard the
for 4 years.
Doesn't matter.
And they're,
There's a code violation, that's what we addressed.
Okay.
That's what we want.
Thank
We
you
want to
for
make
coming.
sure that the codes are in.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are them in violation, can I say
I
that?
need to make sure one at a time and that we're reporting minutes.
So I was gonna make a first motion.
Go for it.
Do you want to hear anything further that they have in response before you make your first motion?
Okay,
Please,
okay, yes, sir.
ask me why I have a camera up there, and I have cameras around my whole house. Initially, I put up fake cameras to try and keep the people that were making a mess on the north side of my fence from making a mess, to try and discourage them from the teenage kid riding his bicycle on that right away, riding a scooter, other debris showing up on the right of way. Now, I'm supposed to be over there maintaining that, according to the city, I'm supposed to maintain that right of way, that grass that's over there. So before I can cut the grass, I have to go over and pick up all the debris that's being left over there, because the city has authorized the people in the three houses, the two behind and the one across from me, to allow them to put their trash on the right of way that I'm charged with maintaining.
does it go this way?
No, it's straight up. Yeah, that way.
This is from the security camera.
This is from the camera that you can see that they said about this street.
Are you parking in your car in your backyard every night?
Yeah.
I move in at night only because of the debris coming over the fence. If I'm
You
not,
know you can't do that.
I know, I know I can't, but my purpose was to get it off the street so that somebody couldn't do damage to it, because I'm getting enough junk over the fence without that. But anyway,
If I can mention that the family is working with our solid waste department on this issue, so this is a little bit of a separate issue.
Right,
What
right,
we are
it
here
is.
talking about on the citation today.
Okay.
So that is yet to be determined how they're all.
And I just want to say one thing. We're almost here 5 years, okay? When we were getting ready to buy this property, Okay, we had called the city of Clearwater and said, we want to know if there's a septic system maybe in the
that
back
previously-
or anything like that, that we
Because
have
we
a
were-
big RV and we want to be able to park it in there. And this is prior to us even buying the property.
And the city told
the
us,
city
I
said-
spoke to the city person, and they told me that they couldn't find anything in the records about a septic tank. And I said, well, is there anything else I need to know about the RV being parked on the property before I buy it?
Yes,
And
if you put we would like you to put up a privacy fence, of which we complied and we
so that's
did.
what we did. We put up a privacy fence after we bought the house, and when we parked the RV, where you've seen it in all the pictures that you've been shown. It's been there. Beg pardon?
They didn't say about the setback.
They didn't say anything about the
nothing,
setback. They didn't
nothing.
say anything about I can't park it on that side of the property. I
Right.
mean, I would have never bought the house
We
if I
didn't-
thought I
we
couldn't
wouldn't have
park the
bought the
RV
house.
there.
Okay, we're getting pretty far afield.
I know, that's what happens, you know, we get far afield, but I mean, that's the reason why it's there.
Right.
Well, there seems to be multiple issues, so we're going to take these one at a time. You want to do a first motion?
First motion, violation exists. I move to find a respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Second.
Second motion. Let me read my notes here for a minute. I move to enter an order requiring the respondent to correct the violations on or before June 22nd, 2019. And there's 3 violations.
The RV's already been moved behind my property, so,
Let me just finish this, and then you can.
okay.
Okay, if the respondent does not comply by that date, the board may order a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day the violation continues to exist. If fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Okay. Can I say something?
We'll let the board take the action first.
I've got to- All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, so.
You
you're
need to
not-
keep in contact with your inspector.
Right.
Understand, we understand that.
He
We
was
just
out-
saw him the other
He
day.
was out there the other day, and the RV was moved from where it shows in the picture.
We're trying to decide.
Directly behind the house, and we're trying to see, because of the area that we have to try and navigate to get around behind. We have a pad in the back of the house, and we're trying to get
Patio.
around it, and there's only 15 feet between the pad and the fence. So the RV is 11 and a half feet wide. So I have to navigate, and then I have to turn, and then come back up and get behind the house, which is
Right.
what I've been able to do. But it's a mess, and
But see, that RV has to be on the pad too.
right, and
Right.
and
No,
that's what
we
he
need-
said, but
we
we
know
wanted to
that.
see if we could get the
Get
RV
it
back
there.
there, and was that feasible,
Uh-huh.
or some other option.
Because zoning said it needed to be 15 feet from the back, from the, our
Rear
neighbor's
property.
property, rear property.
And 5 foot.
5 foot from the other neighbor's
I don't
fence.
know how to answer
And
that.
so we're in
And we did that.
compliance now. He ended up getting it
Folks,
around there, but we
folks,
didn't know.
We've just made a motion.
Okay.
And there are 3 violations that you were brought up here for.
Sure.
Okay.
You now know what you need to do to correct it,
Uh-huh.
okay? And you have to June 22nd to do it. So with that, thank you for coming. You need to get your problems resolved. We don't give advice, we don't give directions. We just determine whether or not you were in violation, and you were.
I'd like an extension.
We need an extension past June, because we have people.
Okay.
we
and
have
that's what we
people-
came.
Then you should say that,
We
because
would like
what-
an extension.
the footage doesn't
Number
matter.
one is that we have started, we have put in sprinklers in the front,
I should have asked
put
for
in
that up front.
sprinklers in the back.
It's too late now.
Okay, ma'am, please,
Okay,
we need to discuss.
Okay.
Wait.
We heard what you wanted to say.
What time period are you asking for?
Yes.
We're asking for 2 months from.
June 22nd?
till the end of August, how about that?
August 22nd.
August 22nd be fine. We have part-time people working on sprinklers, working on.
Okay,
Okay.
sir.
Okay,
How does the
we
city
heard
feel
you.
about that?
Let the board decide what they want to do.
Okay,
August
thank you.
22nd?
All right, I'll make
I like-
amendment.
I'd like to make a motion to amend that we, the first motion that we extend this deadline to August 22nd.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Inspector Toure, I have a question for you. Surprise me here. How were you made aware of these issues?
Actually, 2 neighbors, they had violations.
Oh, so you were in the neighborhood?
Yes. so
Okay,
one and a-
thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you
your
for
help.
the extension.
You're very welcome.
Okay. Case 8319, fine respondents Rajman and Majola Kiki at 78 Baywood Avenue in violation for hauling trailer and issue an order with the compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met. Are they here?
Board, I'd like to introduce, this is the newest inspector that we have on our staff, and this is Daniel Kasman. So he's going to do a little presentation, even though it wouldn't maybe normally be done, just to get familiar
Get
with you.
him some
and
practice going.
Some practice, right.
This should be a low drama one.
I just never say that. That's when
You don't know.
Mr. Cashman, is this a declaration?
Yes, this is a declaration.
Thank you, Dan.
So I'll make a declaration motion?
Well,
You want-
let's do
let-
his
let-
presentation first.
All right.
He's gonna get baptized, so let's go.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Daniel Kasman. I'm a code enforcement inspector for the city of Clearwater. This is for case 8319 for 78 Baywood Avenue. At this location, there was one violation for a hauling trailer for code section 3-1407A2C for parking restrictions in a residential area between the principal structure and the right-of-way. Code section 3-1407A3C for parking in the side or rear setback. And code section 3-1047A7 for parking in an unpaved area, which is prohibited. The notice of violation was sent out on February 22nd of 2019 with a compliance date of March 25th, 2019, and the certified mail receipt was received on March 4th, 2019. This was on the 22nd of February at 78 Baywood. There was a large trailer parked in the driveway, and then a smaller trailer parked on the side, not screened by a fence, wall, or hedge, and not on an approved surface. Went back on the 26th, which was one day after the compliance date. The larger trailer had been moved. He had parked it in the garage, but the smaller trailer was still on the side of the house. Went back to 28th, the smaller trailer was still on the side of the house. Went back the 10th of April, and the smaller trailer was still on the side of the house. Went back a few days before board, and the trailer has been removed and is parked elsewhere now. That was the 20th of May.
Okay, all right. Thank you. This is a declaration.
Thank you, Dan. Good
This is a
presentation.
declaration, right?
Do you want to continue?
I'll go ahead. I move the fine respondent was in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case. The violation was corrected prior to today's hearing and to enter an order that no fine be imposed. If the respondent repeats the violation, the board may order a fine of $500 for each day the violation continues to exist.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much and welcome
Good job,
aboard.
welcome.
Thank you, everyone.
Good presentation, Dan.
Yep. Leave them neat and fast.
Okay.
Good figure, too.
Case 8419, Costello Holdings LLC at 1487 Gulf to Bay Boulevard in violation of code for permits and issue an order with the compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met. Mr. Sweeney, hi.
Good afternoon. My name is Caleb Payne. The address is 390 North Orange Avenue, Suite 2300, Orlando, Florida.
I'm sorry, it's Caleb?
Caleb, C-A-L-E-B,
And P-A-Y-N-E?
N-E.
P-A-Y-N-E.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm here on behalf of Costello Holdings. The violation here, we do admit to it. It was as a result of an oversight. My client did not realize that he needed a permit for what he was doing. We have been in the process of hiring another contractor. We had a few outside of Pinellas contractors who were able to do the work, but we prefer to have someone here who's based in Pinellas. So we are continuing to look actively as we speak for a contractor to apply for the necessary permits after the fact, as well as pull the additional permits needed for the job. We would ask just for a brief extension if we could reset this to occur in maybe 60 days or so, and we can come back in, and by then I would imagine that the problem should be resolved.
We need to hear from the inspector. We're not really sure
course.
what's going on. So you admit, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
First motion, I move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, inspector.
This is 1487, I'm sorry, Inspector Swinton. This is the address of 1487 Gulf to Bay Boulevard. Recommendation here is for compliance to be met would be to obtain all the building permits and inspections. We also are asking for 84-19, work without permit. Request compliance to be on or before June 26, or a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day of the violation continue to exist. We're also asking the board to authorize the following. After 3 months from the recordation of this such lien, if the fines and fees remain unpaid, the city attorney's office is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien using any legal or equitable remedies available under the law. I can just give you a couple pictures just to give you an idea of what we're looking at. Just kind of give you an idea. This is taken back in September 25th of 2018. You can see a large container on the outside of the building. There was some siding that was removed from the building at that time. This is the rear of the building, front of the building, and some of the debris that was removed. This is the pictures of the interior of the building where you can see actually the demolition and removal was being done. Some more pictures there. Okay. And this was taken on February 27th of 2019. You can see that the exterior of the building has now been restuccoed. Affidavit of posting. And you can see that there's some new 2x4s being placed at the time of this picture in February 27th. Another picture, and I'll leave it up to you.
So I have a question. Why wait till June for them to get a permit?
I'm sorry?
Why are you allowing them to June 22nd or thereabouts to get a permit? Why not expect it right now?
Actually, I'm just waiting. Actually, the case was actually postponed until this month. It was actually sent out back in March.
Okay.
But due to trying to locate the owner, we moved it till this month.
Okay. So, but now you're asking till June, and they're working on it right now, right? So you're giving them to June to do this?
I did not know anything about.
What I'm saying is, there's a project going on, and they don't have a permit to do it. So why are we waiting for June for them to get a permit?
They'll need to get some architectural drawings and stuff like that, and today all the architects seem to be pretty busy, so that's probably still a pretty quick turnaround time.
Okay, but what's to inhibit them from continuing to work on it? They're working on it.
Right, they shouldn't be working on it.
Yeah.
I agree they shouldn't, but how do you know they're not, is my question.
We monitor it.
The project, since I've taken the pictures in February up to this point, no work has been done.
Okay.
Nothing else has been done.
All right. That's what we needed to know.
Right.
Ready for a second motion? Or you want to hear it back again?
I don't see why he needs a continuance, do you?
Second motion?
Yeah, on this?
I move to enter an order requiring respondent to correct the violations on or before June 26, 2019. If the respondent does not comply by that date, the board may order a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day each violation continues to exist. If fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, young man, you got till June 26.
Is there any paperwork or documentation that goes with this today that I can show back to my client, or just on and?
You'll be getting an order, but it won't be first.
And that'll be mailed to the registered address? Okay. All right.
If you want, I can mail a copy to.
Could we go ahead and do that as well?
Yeah, do you have
Do you have
I have a card.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving right along. All right, case 8619, Adele and Sylvie Tikas at 249 Bayside Drive in violation for unsafe building and issue an order with a compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met. Mr. Cantrell is back. Are they here?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Not a declaration.
This is not.
I'll make a first motion.
Sure.
I move to find as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button there.
It's all right.
Jason Cantrell presenting case number, I don't know the case number off the top of my head.
8619.
Yes, 249 Bayside Drive. Here there are two violations. So for compliance to be met for the unsafe structure, they would need to complete all required inspections within 6 months for this building permit number, which is their current active permit. And for that, we're requesting compliance on or before November 22nd, 2019, or fines of $150 per day for the violation. The violation continues to exist. Additionally, we are asking the board to authorize the city of Clearwater to enter onto the property to correct the violations by any means necessary and any reasonable cost to be applied as liens against the property. After 3 months from the recordation date of such lien, if the fines and fees remain unpaid, the city attorney's office is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien using any legal or equitable remedies available under the law. Tongue-tied today.
How come so far out?
Because they do have an active permit,
It's good for
so
6 months.
we'll give them 6 months to get all the required inspections for that permit.
Is there a pool?
There is a pool, which brings us to our second violation, the unsafe pool. For this, they need to obtain permits and complete all required inspections to meet current Florida building codes. For that, we are requesting compliance on or before June 22nd, 2019, or a fine of $150 per day. The violation continues to exist.
I'd raise that one. Do you have a picture of the pool?
I do.
Let's see how bad it is.
Start at the beginning of the pictures. Just so you know, this is where it's located on South Beach on Bayside Drive on the intercoastal side. This is the front of the house. You can see it's been in a partial state of construction since 2012. For most of that time, the permit has been expired. They only recently reactivated the permit.
Same owner all this time?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you.
And here is the pool in a partial state of construction. The water is terrible. There are no fences on the side, so.
No cage?
No cage.
How deep is that water? It looks like it's drained down pretty far.
I don't know. It's.
That's unsafe in itself. That could pop.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, it's a nice location.
I would think having a pool situation like that and being consistent, I would think $300 a day.
I would raise it just so they know we're serious.
250 is the maximum.
250 max, thank you, sir.
250. I mean, that's, it's an unsafe building, but that's a landmine.
Yes, it is.
Could you go back to your, I hate to ask you to do this, but could you go back to your first picture?
Sure. The first meaning of the house or the map?
The map.
Oh, map.
I wanted to see exactly where this property was located. Okay.
Yeah, that's.
It's on that finger.
Where, you
Off
want
of
the bottom?
Clearwater
Where are
Beach.
you?
Off of Clearwater Beach.
Directly across the water from the police substation, which is straight to the south of it.
Okay.
Well, it's not on Devon this week, this month.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You know, I like what somebody down on this end said, kids, I grew up here, in the summer, we had nothing to do. We'd play Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn. We had a rowboat, and we would find mischief wherever we could, and that would be one of them right there.
That's why your reputation procedure.
Right. Right.
How come you got on his board?
Yeah,
Keep you out of trouble.
exactly.
Okay, you want to do a,
I'll make a motion, a second motion, right?
Yep.
Yes.
A second motion in two parts. The city wants to, my notes are here. I'll go with the pool first. I move to enter an order requiring the response. The first violation. Okay, so we'll do them one at a time. To correct a violation of the pool on or before June 22nd, 2019, if the respondent does not comply by that date, the city may take reasonable actions, including entering the property to bring the property into compliance and charge the respondent with all costs which will become a lien on the property. The board may order a fine of, what'd you say, Andy, $250?
$250 is the max.
$250 per day for each day the violation continues to exist. If costs, fines, and fees remain unpaid, 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
I enter a second motion on the second violation, and that's the unsafe building itself. I move to enter an order requiring the respondent to correct the violations on or before November 22nd, 2019. If the respondent does not comply by that date, the city may take all reasonable actions, including entering the property to bring the property into compliance and charge the respondent with all costs, which will become a lien on the property. The board may order a fine of $150 per day for each day the violation continues to exist. If costs, fines, and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next one is yours too, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. And the owner is here for this.
Okay, fine respondents, Fort Harrison Square LLC at 1409 North Fort Harrison Avenue in violation of code for unsafe building, and issue an order with a compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met. And the owner is? Hi, will you identify your name and address for the?
Shannon Seymour. What's the last name? Seymour. Thank you.
Were you sworn in?
Yes.
And the relationship between the gentle lady and the LLC? I'm sorry, are you a member manager of the LLC, or what's your relationship to the property?
I'm the owner.
Okay, but it's an LLC? And you're a member of the LLC? Are there other members of the LLC?
I'm not super up on how that all works, but I'm the only person who owns it, and I'm the only person, it was put in an LLC for me by my real estate agent, but I'm the only person who's part of that.
Ma'am, you need to
admit or
step
deny?
forward. We can't hear you. You're too far away from the
I
speaker.
admit.
You admit, okay. Okay, if you'll have a seat, we'll
I
call you
move
back
to
up.
find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Sorry. Motion carries, unless somebody disagrees. Okay,
She did admit, but I'll go ahead and show a couple photos real quick, just so
Okay.
you're aware. This property is on North Fort Harrison, just south of the merge, where it merges into Myrtle. There are six, I believe, structures on this property. However, this one that you see in front of you is the one in question. Door is missing here, or off its hinges. The floor of the second story is collapsing. That photo is through the upper window. That's the same window. You could see a skylight has fallen. There's sunlight coming through. So it's in bad shape. They are working on it. I'll let her tell you that part. Let's see, what do you need the recommendation?
Yeah.
Okay. City's recommendation for this case is compliance on or before June 22nd, 2019. or a fine of $150 per day that the violation continues to exist. Additionally, we are asking the board to authorize the city of Clearwater to enter onto the property to correct the violations by any means necessary and any reasonable cost to be applied as liens against the property. After 3 months from the recordation date of such lien, if the fines and fees remain unpaid, the city attorney's office is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien using any legal or equitable remedies available under the law.
Okay, Mr. Cantrell, there's a building in front of this building on Fort Harrison?
No, this building is actually in front. There's one next to it and then a couple more behind it.
Okay.
And I apologize, but I believe I skipped over this slide. I'm out of sorts today. Compliance to be met for the unsafe structure would be to repair or replace any areas where deterioration or damage exists to meet the current Florida building codes. Complete demolition of the structure is also an option for compliance. All work must be properly permitted.
Is there current permits pulled that we're working on actively now?
No, not currently.
Okay.
I guess I don't know how much I need to say, but obviously the building looks really bad. I didn't realize how bad it was inside. We do have landscapers who go there every month, but it's been vacant for many years. So this one's, I think, in the back, right? There's the two in the front, and this one's in back.
No, that one's in front, on the Fort Harrison side.
What are your intentions? Are you
Okay.
intending to
It's in back,
tear it
right?
down?
Yeah, it's in back. Okay, so
Are you tearing this down, or are you?
we're tearing it down, and we started working on it as soon as we got this. It's taken me a while because we had to get bids and we had to find out what we were even doing. So at this point, we have hired someone to do the asbestos study, which is required by law, and they completed doing the samples. Again, this was like, I was in way over my head. I thought, I didn't know about any of this, and then I paid $11,000 to have an asbestos study done, not even the removal. So they just completed taking the samples, and I talked to him this morning because I wanted to be able to tell you more of a timeline. And he said that within, there's a holiday coming up and that he hopes to have the report back to me within 10 business days, at which time I'll have to get bids for the asbestos removal, which I believe there's a lot of asbestos because I was told by the inspector that when he just looked at it, of course it would have to be verified, but he felt like all the siding was asbestos. And so I think there's a tremendous amount of asbestos. I've also gotten bids for the demolition of not just this, but I kind of looked at it and wanted to be proactive. It's been vacant for a long time, and I looked at the other buildings and I went inside and they're really not in good shape either. So I got bids to have all the buildings demolished on that property, and I'm under contract for the demolition as well. But what has to happen in the middle is the asbestos removal. So in 10 business days, I should have the report back, and he said he may have to go back out after that. He's not sure. The city of Clearwater is much more strict than anyone else on asbestos. In fact, many of the companies, when they knew where I was, maybe it's Pinellas, I guess it's Pinellas, I don't know if it's Pinellas or the whole city, but lots of people wouldn't even bid for me because they said these guys are so strict. So I hired a guy who said he works with the city all the time. He actually wasn't the cheapest, but it's Greenfield. And then he told me that once he gets me this back, which will hopefully be in 10 business days from today, then I have to get the bids from the asbestos removal. Then he said, once we have an asbestos person, there's a 10-day notification for asbestos that's required by law that those people have to give. Then they do all the asbestos removal, and then there's a 10-day notification for the demolition. So just those waiting times are at least 6 weeks of just the waiting times, not counting the time to get the bids for the asbestos removal and for both the asbestos removal and the demolition to be done. It is 6 buildings. I have the contract for the demolition and I have the contract for the asbestos survey. So I'm asking for 4 months to complete it. After talking with the person this morning, he felt that an experienced person probably could get it done in 3 months. And so I'm asking for 4 months because I'm not familiar with it and I do need to get bids because it's very expensive.
And that would include the permits as well.
Yeah, I don't know exactly where they get permits. I know that the bid I have right now for the actual demolition that doesn't include asbestos is around $30,000. So far I've got the $11,000 for just the survey, the $30,000 for the demolition, and the removal could be another $30,000. You know, so I've been really working on it and trying to figure it all out, but I'm sure these guys get permits. You know?
Well, the inspector can tell you as well.
So here's the problem. The pictures that Mr. Cantrell showed the doors to the entrance of that building being detached. Now, your building isn't secured, and what you're asking for
I have
is 4
secured
months.
the building. I actually never saw a door off. I've walked, I'm
This
sure
picture.
what he's saying is true. I've been out of town for much of the
Ma'am,
time.
that really doesn't matter. The thing is, my concern is, I understand your time issue,
Yeah.
but I think we need to have some assurance that that building is not going to be open for people to go.
Absolutely.
He's reliving his youth. He'll be going pedaling over there and going in there. So we need to have that building secured.
I agree with you, and just so you know, I wasn't
And that needs to be a
aware-
contingent of any
I wasn't aware of that
recommendation
part
we make.
myself. I really apologize. I would have took photos, but I already did, I don't know if you've seen it, but I had somebody go out there and put actual padlocks on any entrance.
Okay.
I've already done
As
that.
long as the building's secured, we
That's all.
can live with that.
Good enough. That's fine.
How does the city feel about the 4 months?
Provided that they secure it.
Right, provided the building's secure.
Did you see the padlocks I put on?
You're okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're okay.
Sounds like you're trying.
Yeah, we definitely are.
So we need a second motion?
So September 22nd?
Do we need a second motion?
Yes.
Yeah. I move to enter an order that a fine of, what do we say here? $150. I move to enter an order that a fine of $150 per day be imposed for the, wait a minute.
You need to be on.
It'd be good if I was on the right page.
Page 4.
Unsafe building.
I move to enter an order requiring the respondent to correct the violations on or before 4 months takes us where?
September 22nd?
June, July, August, September 22nd,
We didn't
2019.
believe you.
Old skeptic.
Also, before I go on, we want to make sure that that building is secured. Nobody can enter
I
that.
have absolutely done that. I've padlocked
Okay,
everything.
I'm making that part of this motion, so,
Yes,
okay?
I have padlocked everything.
Okay, so that's part of this stipulation. If the respondent does not comply by that date, the board may order a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day this violation continues to exist. If fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle each lien, such lien.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, good luck.
Sorry you had to wait so long.
Inspector Cantrell, you're going to verify that that building's secured.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay. Case 8819, fine respondents Precision Hotel Management Company at 1806 North Fort Harrison Avenue in violation of code for unsafe building and issue an order with a compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met. Are they here?
Do not believe so.
No?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Are you gonna find them in violation now,
Yes.
or do you want?
I move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
Okay, again, I'll run through the photos real fast for our recommendation. This is on Fort Harrison, just south of Sunset Point Road on the west side. This is a Google Street Map views, just so you can see what we're looking at. This is the Pink Flamingo Hotel. The building in question
Know where that
is the two-story on the right.
Okay.
This area shows my areas of concern, the violations I found. First one being right at the base of the railing banister. And you can see it's broken. That needs to be repaired. The second violation, this photo is going to be as good as it gets. The floor, you can see the door to unit 10 right there. The walkway is fine and solid up until that point, but as soon as you step past that doorway, the floor gets really spongy. You could feel it sinking. It feels like it's going to collapse right through. Unfortunately,
This is on the outside walkway.
correct.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I can't get a photo of that, so that's what you get for that one. Again, this photo was taken on Monday. The date's not on my pictures for some reason, but you can see they still have not repaired this.
Inspector, what corner was that you say? You said that was Fort Harris? Oh, Fort Harrison.
Right.
Fort Harrison, south of Sunset Point.
Oh, not, okay.
Just a little bit south of the Shuffleboard.
Not Sunset Point Road,
Right across from the
Edgewater.
Italian club.
Edgewater, Fort Harrison, that's the same road?
Yeah, just south of that.
What corner? Oh, it's not on the corner.
No.
Oh,
It's,
I
you know,
just
where
read
the-
something in today's paper,
you remember where,
that corner, but it's not.
that's the
No.
gas station.
Right. That's an old area there.
Yes, it is.
Ah,
Okay.
Okay, so for compliance to be met for this unsafe structure is repair or replace any areas where deterioration or damage exists to meet current Florida building codes. Complete demolition of the structure is also an option for compliance, and all work must be properly permitted. Our recommendation for this case is compliance on or before June 22nd, 2019, or a fine of $150 per day that the violation continues to exist. Additionally, we are asking the board to authorize the city of Clearwater to enter onto the property to correct the violations by any means necessary, and any reasonable cost to be applied as liens against the property. After 3 months from the recordation date of such lien, if the fines and fees remain unpaid, the city attorney's office is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien using any legal or equitable remedies available under the law.
so it's just one violation?
Correct.
Inspector?
You said
is that
two.
business-
It's one violation.
You said the rail and something about the landing?
I think I cited it as one, but there's
Yeah,
two.
it's all part of the one violation.
It's all part of the one, okay.
Yeah, it's one violation, but two reasons for that
Is
one.
that building still doing business as a motel?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
It is.
So what did they say?
I'm curious, what caused you to go up and check the door?
The fire department actually called me out there.
Okay.
All of those motels are very old along that stretch.
Well,
Yes.
that is unsafe, what you pointed out there, you know?
Yes, it is.
What did the management of that hotel, motel say?
They said they would be working on it and they would get it fixed. As far as for the floor of the walkway, we told them we need a letter from an engineer stating that it's safe, or pull the permits and do the repairs. And he's done neither.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, Madam Chair, can I
All
make a
right.
motion?
Yes.
I moved in an order requiring the respondent to correct the violations on or before June 22nd, 2019. If the respondent does not comply by that date, the city may take all reasonable actions, including entering the property to bring the property into compliance and charge the respondent with all the costs, which will become a lien on the property. The board may order a fine of $150 per day for each day the violation continues to exist. If costs, fines, and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to collect, foreclose, or settle such lien.
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. May I have a motion to accept the affidavits of compliance?
I make a motion that we accept the affidavits of compliance as listed.
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. This one's continued to June. Okay.
6.3?
Yep. Case 112-18, consider request by petitioner, Houses to Homes Corp., at 1236 Capont Cove Circle to reduce the fine regarding short-term rental and residential rental business tax receipt, and if approved, issue an order that specifies a fine that includes administrative costs and establishes a date payable, or the lien will revert to its original amount.
Vernon Prather here with Houses to Homes.
I'm sorry, what is your name?
Vernon Prather,
TRA.
T-H-E-R.
Thank you.
Okay?
This is a request to reduce the lien?
Requesting to reduce the lien. There was confusion. I went out and got the licensing after I left the meeting that day, but they were closed. I went to the next business day and got the licenses taken care of. And I would just hope that you guys could see a way to reduce the lien on the property to something that's administrative, and I could sell it then. I had a sale on it.
It's all up to date?
Yeah, I went and took care of that licensing compliance the day I left, the day that I came to the hearing, and went back the next business day.
You're talking about the rental business tax receipt?
Yes,
BTR, yeah.
What about the short-term rental issue?
I wasn't advertising for short-term rental. I did it before, but I had stopped, and I think there was just a confusion. There was some advertisement on Airbnb, but it wasn't for short-term.
Or you deny that part?
In the previous hearing, I did, correct, that's true. But I'm just considering that's just a confusion.
Yeah, let's hear from Inspector Phillips.
I actually have my PowerPoint if you would like me to present again. This case actually came before me in April 3rd of 2018. It was an illegal short-term rental that was being rented out without a business tax receipt. And according to my records, that case was open April 3rd of 2018. The business tax receipt was not issued until October 25th. So it was a significant time after. Victor and I had spoke previously, and he had told me at that time, according to my notes, that when he went to the county records, he thought his property was in the county. I went ahead and pulled the annex ordinance, which clearly shows that the property was annexed in 1995, which was way before he had even purchased it. He's here for a lien reduction. My only issue with that is his property was rented from $200 to $500 per day. So when you look at that and you look at not having a business tax receipt, and I know he had an issue where he had to go out of town, but in my opinion, he could have fixed that. When the city is issuing you a fine for $250 for each violation, $500 a day, you take care of that, not when it's just convenient. And again, his argument to me was that he thought his property was in the county, which just isn't an excuse to me. When you purchase a property, you have the records. So if you need me to present again, I certainly can.
It's
What
not
are the
500
numbers?
500 a day is only during peak season, though. That's,
Andy, what are the costs?
1421.20.
1421.20. 142,000? 120?
No, are you talking about the total fine or the administrative costs?
What's the fine?
Both.
The administrative cost is $1,421.20. The total fine is $29,000.
And just if I may clarify, Inspector Phelps was, before the code board adjudicated the violator guilty, was the code board hearing continued?
The code board, when we were first supposed to hear it, Victor did show up. He asked me if it could be continued because he stated that his property was in the county. We went ahead and pushed it to the following hearing, and he had hired an attorney because he wanted to debate the fact that his property was in the county, which it was not. I let him know I had the information that it was not, so at the board that we continued it to, for he and his attorney, they did not show.
And then was it continued again? Or was it just one continued?
I have it twice.
So
I was not aware of the date of the continuance, actually. I believe that was the issue at the time, on that part.
But had you asked for that continuance?
I came to court originally, yeah, it was, I believe we did have some
It was your
situations, but I...
responsibility to find out what it was continued to. Come on.
True, but I had a problem with the mailing thing. It took me a while to get straightened out, and I finally got that straightened out with the county. So I was able to get the notice of the hearing that I came to the next time out. And only, if I understand, by a day or two, the mail just gone on. I just got the county to straighten out the mailing address.
Yeah, the thing is, we talk about days and done right immediately after the meeting, but then there's months in between. That's where I get confused.
I went and got the licensing right after the meeting last time.
Sir, why would you think that the city of Clearwater would be enforcing county?
There's only 2 houses in that subdivision that's actually the city, and that city has a septic, or it has a grinder pit that is not tied to the city itself. So I'm really not so sure it was annexed properly to begin with, but I just didn't feel like going through it anymore, and just figured Airbnb really wasn't for me, and I was gonna sell the property, and I had a sale on it, and it was at the last meeting that I was here, but it fell through because I really didn't know what the fines were gonna be, and I kinda told them there was a city issue with it, and so I couldn't complete the sale. So I'm still holding on to it now.
I have a question, if I may. We heard from the inspector. What's the city's thoughts?
Well, here's the problem, is, normally when we have these lien reductions, it's because, there's a fence that needs to get fixed, or a roof, or something like that. This property is the definition of an income property. So if we reduce it down to $400 of our investigative cost, and $700 for the clerk, that was 2 days that it was rented out for. And, what I'm not hearing is that the property was not rented out during that time period. So, the gentleman was making money.
No, it was not rented out.
Violation of the law.
I mean, it's not rented out.
Excuse me, sir.
Sorry.
So if he's making money in violation of the law, we would be advocating for illegal activity if we reduced it down. Now, that's kind of also why I wanted Inspector Phillips to testify about the continuances. Because before this board even adjudicated this gentleman guilty, we gave him the opportunity to come back twice. And if during that time period he had stopped his short-term rental and gotten his BTR, he never would have got a fine in the first place. In fact, he wouldn't have even gotten an adjudication of guilty. He would simply have gotten a declaration of violation. So with those facts in mind, it doesn't seem to make any sense to allow a lien reduction when he's literally making money off of the thing. Otherwise, what's the incentive to never violate the law again?
There isn't.
And so that's pretty much it in a nutshell. It's not to penalize, it's not to hurt. If the gentleman truly believed that he was outside the city limits, as Inspector Phillips testified, she was going to provide that information to him. In fact, that's why I wanted the first hearing continued, because I wanted to make sure that he wasn't inside the city limits. And when he was, he comes in with our laws. So either the law means something or it doesn't. And that's why we can't support a lien reduction in this case.
May I say, I didn't advertise it and rent it anymore after I was told what was going on. That was where the confusion, I think, came into effect. I wasn't indicated that I could rent the property if I had the licensing thing, so I thought, well, let me try to go ahead and advertise it for a longer than a short-term rental, and that's where I think the snafu got into effect, because the ad that I put out there was for longer than a short-term rental. It wasn't for a short-term rental, and I didn't think I needed the ad until I either had a person that was going to rent it, which I never got somebody to rent it.
But did you have your BTR during that time?
BTR? What's that?
Business tax receipt.
No, sir, that, I did totally fail on the business tax receipt. I didn't go get it, I didn't realize it.
But yet you went ahead and tried to rent it.
Well, I did advertise it. I didn't rent it, I didn't take them. That's the confusion part that I feel. So when I was told not to rent it short-term, okay, I did that, did not rent it short-term, but I did go ahead and advertise it for long-term, which I didn't know I needed the license for that, and that's where I'm saying, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have did that.
Is he renting it now?
What is the total, can we have those cost numbers again, please?
$1,421.20
Okay.
are the costs. The fines are $29,000.
And the fines are $29,000?
Yes.
Okay.
Can we talk?
You should talk amongst yourselves and decide what you want to do.
If we remember some of the past cases that we've had on,
We adjusted it.
we adjusted, we were at like 30% is what we did on that one guy that was cooperative. Or when we had those two.
I kind of agree, but then again, you'd have to define cooperation, and cooperation is probably not showing up to multiple scheduled hearings, right? I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
That's
So-
where
That
this-
30%, is
it's
that
in a dilemma.
30%
Of the total load?
of the total?
No,
Are you reducing?
keep the administrative costs separate, and then just look at the fines are 29,000, 30, it'd be 3,000, it'd be, 30, almost $10,000.
Total.
We could make a total, you know, for easy math.
What's the board's pleasure?
That would cover the administrative costs.
It would cover, and the fine, yeah.
10,000.
Because, as you pointed out, it was pointed out here, there was no big cooperation on this, get this thing put to bed.
Are the fines still accruing?
No.
These ones are always hard for me, and there has to be a deterrent. I mean, it's a law and their codes, and I can't stand when people, not necessarily yourself, but even a new buyer comes in and they just bought a property knowing that there's a ridiculous lien on it, and now they stand in front of us and they want those liens completely dropped, and we feel sorry or bad, that so we do, and at some point there has to be a message set throughout the city that fines are there for a reason, comply, the rest of the citizens have to. They work with you, we try, we reschedule, so, I mean, this is a hard one, but I think, you know, we have to at some point send a message that fines are legit and they're there for a reason, right? It's just my take on it.
And your
You
pleasure.
can make a motion here?
I'll make a motion.
You will,
Are we ready? Any more discussion?
I agree with Michael, I go along with the same reason.
Okay, this is to exceed administrative costs. I move to enter an order reducing the amount of the lien to $10,000, inclusive of administrative costs, payable within 30 days?
I don't have 10,000 to pay in 30 days. I gotta sell the house. I'm just being honest with you.
30 days, is that reasonable, or 60 days? I'm throwing
If I
that
could get 90, I for sure I could do something then, but I don't have the money.
Let's do
I
60
can't make
days.
that myself. 30 is the normal.
Selling a property may not happen that
Ain't gonna happen
easily.
in
Yeah.
60 days
I
either.
would support
So what are you
60,
saying,
yeah.
60 days?
60.
If it's contingent, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but if it's contingent, if the only way the gentleman could pay it is by selling it, then perhaps the board should table this one and let the gentleman come back when he has a sales contract.
a
I'd be
good
for
idea.
that.
If that's what the city wants to do,
And the fines that are already there continue to accrue?
They're not accruing as an.
I'll make an amendment. Well, I didn't even make a motion, so we could just make a motion that we table this until he comes back with a,
Sales contract.
And what if he doesn't?
Annie?
We're thinking it through. Table versus withdrawal and
This will be in your favor too, I believe, if we do it
It
this
helped
way.
me because I don't have the cash right now, so.
I understand. I'm sorry for this situation you're in.
I'm not.
Yeah, but I,
He knew what he was doing.
do we go ahead and make a
It
motion?
didn't go through because I didn't know what to find.
why don't you just withdraw it, and then, once you get a contract, just contact Nicole, we'll put you back on.
Okay.
That'll be the easier way for us.
Okay, I withdraw the motion I was
He's
making
going to
until
withdraw the
further,
case.
So
notice.
just keep in touch with Nicole, and just as soon as you get a contract, let us know, and then we'll put you on at that next meeting.
that gives you time.
Okay?
Yeah.
I'll help you out.
But you kind of got an idea where it's going, so.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right, good luck to you, man. Just have
Okay.
one more error.
Okay,
How did it get there?
thank you. Good luck, sir.
Case 120-17, approve the stipulation agreement for petitioners Ciro A. Romero at 871 Castler Avenue.
What a error.
No.
Okay, yes, I'll present that, I'm sorry, Madam Chair. This is a stipulation agreement that I have reached, not with Sirio Romeo, but with the current owner, which is actually the bank that foreclosed on Mr. Romeo.
Okay.
And they are now selling it to a third party. I've reached an agreement with both of those parties, the buyer and the seller. The property will get, in the terms of the stipulation are for the property to be sold on May 31st, which is the end of this month. Compliance, which requires a repair of a roof and a fence by July 31st, and payment of $25,000 to the city.
Good.
I'll make a motion. I
Do
make a
you need
motion that the board approve the stipulation and agreement that the city has made on case 120-17, property 871 Kessler Avenue.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. What do we have now?
Nuisance abatement.
Oh. There's nothing there.
Who's a nuisance?
You're a nuisance. What?
Yeah.
Nuisance abatement.
I make a motion that we accept the nuisance abatement? No, there's none.
There aren't any.
There's been no nuisance.
Now you can
I'm
hit the
happy
hammer,
to
so
announce
we're
that
out
there is
of
no
here.
nuisance this month.
Hey!
From Clearwater.